Well, welcome along to the Racing Post 2022 Greyhound Derby Final preview show. The biggest race of the year in greyhound racing is upon us. 9:15 on Saturday night at Towcester Racecourse. Live on Racing Post Greyhound TV if you can't be there. 192 into a final six. It is the biggest race. There's £175,000 up for grabs, and hopefully we're going to steer you onto the winner, and maybe a winner or two on the supporting card as well. We're in very good company. Open race correspondent of the Racing Post, Tony Bullen, joins me here in the studio, and here we are again, Tony, the big one.
It was wide open when there was 192. It was wide open when there was 96. It was wide open when there was 48. It was wide open when there was 24. It was wide open when there was 12, and it's still up for grabs at the final day.
Yeah, absolutely. The field, of course, is halved. Each week, 5 weeks ago, we began with 196, so we're now down to 6. And responsible for 1/3 of that 6 is top Irish trainer Paul Hennessy. And I'm absolutely delighted to say that Paul's son Kevin is joining us on Skype as well. He's fully branded up as well because he, of course, works for Ball Sports. But how are you, Kevin? And, of course, how are the dogs?
Yeah, look, I'm doing very well. Dave, as are the rest of us at home, and look, the two dogs are bouncing. I nearly wish the derby was on today, to be honest. I was out there last night, and they've never been better. So, fingers crossed they get to Saturday night in Towcester in the same form, and if they do, I'm sure they'll give a good account of themselves. Yeah,
and talk to me just about the English Derby and your family, Kevin. Your dad, of course, a top trainer, one of a very, very select few trainers to have trained an English Derby winner, Irish and Scottish. Your mum and your sister have been coming over week after week, and it's some shift and stint, one that you've done yourself in the past.
Yeah, I've done it on a couple of occasions, but look, everyone, I suppose, gives you the credit when you come out the right side of it, but like, there's more than just us that do that journey every year. I remember probably over 10 years ago now, when I started doing those trips down to Wimbledon, and all the same faces that are doing them now, we're still doing it. Like, you have Peter Cronin who'd been over with me loads of times, and the likes of Fraser Black, and God be good to him, Seamus Graham, and loads of us, and it was brilliant crack, and there was a real sense of I suppose a togetherness about us all, because we were getting pretty much the same boats and travelling down the same way and representing your country. So look, there's nothing really quite like it when you're setting off a day or two before, and you have to cross the sea and put in the effort. But thankfully we were able to win it on 2 occasions, which made it all worthwhile, and we came close on a couple of occasions as well. But look, we're going to give it our best shot again this Saturday.
Yeah, and your two, we'll obviously touch on each one individually in more depth as we go on, but two real experienced warriors, and they've thrived on their racing around Towcester.
Yeah, they have. I was very confident Priceless Jet would. He's a dog who's the ultimate competition greyhound, and we had him there last year. He broke the clock doing 29:11, and people were unsure as to how good or how true of a clock that was. They thought the record might be lowered significantly when he did that, but I know it was lowered by Rab's dog Warzone Tom, but not so massively. And he ran the track a dream, and then unfortunately Lenson Bocco took a tumble in, I think it was the second round, and as a result Corky had nowhere to go, and that knocked him out. So he didn't get a real crack at it last year. We felt as though he was as good this year as he was last year. He reached the Easter Cup final, and everything was going according to plan. We downed tools and freshened him up, and you're seeing the results now. And Hello Hammond, I think it was, I'll hold my hand up on him last year. He was a dog who was a little bit frustrating at the time, and I was quite adamant. I thought he wanted to be outside. Dad still felt he should be inside. I finally got my way, and we got a wide seat on him in the Derby, and Sod's Law, being a wide seat in that race on that night, cost him his qualification place. He was very unfortunate to go out, so he too had something to prove this year, and thankfully he's been able to do it.
Oh, great stuff. Well, we're absolutely delighted that you're able to join us and provide us with a little bit of insight and info on 2 of the Derby Final. Let's have a look at some betting then, shall we? Because it's a very, very open competition and final and race. This one, of course, last year, Patrick Janssens, his Thorn Falcon, thwarted a 3rd consecutive Irish trained winner. There's 4 of them in the final this year, Tony. Just Mickey's Barrett and of course Savannah Bow representing the UK. They've got a strong hand in the £175,000 decided this year, haven't they?
Yeah, well, the Irish was always send over a very strong team. I think this year it is possibly the year that the Irish do win the Derby at Towcester. But it's still an intriguing race. You've got a bit of everything. You've got a bit of early, you've got a bit of pace, all-round pace. Hello Hammond, he's a dog. I mean, I wouldn't want to be laying any fancy price a dog like Hello Hammond, because it's never over until you've crossed the line with that type of dog. He can quicken at a vital stage of a race, and if he's on the premises at the third bend, you're looking over your shoulder, whoever you are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got the kind of feel about it that it could be 3-1 the field come the Os. Very competitive, and I expect to see money. We'll see money for some of the outsiders. Right, let's have a look at how they got to the final then. Last week's semi-finals will bring in the two of those. Romeo Magico won the first semi-final in a 29.06 in the blue jacket. Mickey's Barrett in trap 4, finishing second. And keep your eyes on Savannah Bow, who hits the rail at the first turn, finds trouble everywhere, but still manages to qualify from trap 1. But a very professional performance from trap 2 here, Tony.
Yeah, there was a lot going on at the boxes. As the hare was on the move, you could see, I think 1 was causing the traps to sort of just slightly move slightly, and 2 reset himself 3 times, but look, he was very unlucky in the Easter Cup in my opinion. I think he was coming to win the race at the third bend. He's got brute middle pace. He can match, put him level off the second bend with any dog, and he can go toe to toe the Magico dog, and if he gets it right at the start, he'll be difficult to beat.
Yeah, and the heavens had opened at Towcester on Saturday, and up came the next semi-final. And Kildare, 10 spots behind, 29.16. Kevin, talk us through this. Your two were in there, Priceless Jet, Hello Hammond. We knew they were both going to be doing their best work late on, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, look, it was a great race. At this dog of Peter's, Kildare, he's the real deal, isn't he? Like, he's went into the Kirby unraced, and they backed him like he was going to win it, and he looked a potential winner through the competition, and to go over to Towcester, it's phenomenal what he's doing, and it's a great training achievement, and for the comforts that own him, you'd be delighted. Look, Priceless Jet and Hello Hammond both didn't have clean runs here. Priceless Jet took off from the second bend, and he's only beaten a half a length. I think Corky can trap a little bit quicker than he did the other night, and I think he can get a clearer run too. So I think he's capable. I think he's more than capable if he gets the rub of the green. And like Tony said, with Hello Hammond, he's really trapping brilliantly. He trapped brilliantly in the 600 in Shelburne. He's carried that form across, and he's trapping great. He gets tapped for toe to the corner. There's no denying that. If he can hold a position down the back straight, none will be finishing as quick as him. But like, look, you're going to need luck. Everyone in the final is going to need luck. It's a great final. All 6 dogs are there in merit, and we're just lucky to have 2 of them.
And of course, JT Jet, 2016, winning the last ever Derby at Wimbledon. Priceless Blake, 2019 at Nottingham. And my understanding is both dogs are staying on site. Lawrence Tuffin, a trainer based on site at Towcester. How much of an advantage is that, Kevin?
Yeah, well, we travel over and back every week. They were home in the kennel by around 7 a.m. Sunday morning. We'll set off again on Thursday, and we'll land over and we'll stay in Lawrence's. It's unbelievable. Like, it's 20 yards to the way in. There's no travelling, and as we know in the weather conditions that sometimes we get during an English Derby, it can be quite tough. So they're in their kennels up until weigh-in time. They literally walk out and around the corner and they're in. So, and that's just the locality, but even more impressively is the people there. Lawrence, Arlene, Paul, every one of them. They've been so welcoming. Anything we need, they're all buying in. They're running for that kennel too. So we just hope to do them proud on Saturday night, and we're unbelievably grateful for all they've done for us throughout this year and last year.
OK, let's talk Hello Hammond then, shall we? August 18, almost 4 years old, and by my reckoning, some very, very quick research, definitely would be the oldest winner in the last 20 years. He ran well at Shelburne in the Open 600 coming into this, but as we've seen in the VT already, he's a powerful dog, isn't he, Kevin?
Yeah, very much so. He was a dog at the start who always showed plenty of ability. But like I said, when I was discussing him going to the Derby last year, he never really knew where he wanted to be, and he was quite inconsistent at the traps. And he was the sort of dog, if there was trouble, Hammy would find it, and whether that was trouble would find him or vice versa. He had a couple of niggles, and he hasn't been the easiest dog to keep fully sound, but he's always he's such a big heart. He's never let anything get in his way, and I've seen him getting stopped 3, 4, 5 times in a race, and he still comes again. He's this unbelievable will to win and an unbelievable will to race, and no matter where he is in a race, he's going to try for you, and that's what you want in a derby. And it's 6 weeks. There's no way you're going to get 6 solos. It just doesn't happen unless you were Susie Sapphire in last year's Irish Derby. But generally, there's a night where things go wrong and go against you, and Hammond, he's able to put his head down and dig deep to qualify. He has had a new lease of life this year, and the 600 gave him confidence because he was going to the bend with, I suppose, slower starters like himself, and he managed to turn in front and second in the semi-final and final, and he ran brilliantly. Like, he was breaking 32.20 for the 600 in back-to-back weeks. I think he done a 32.04, 06, one of the best runs ever over the 600, and how could you not put him in the van? So we put him in the van. To say we'd have expected him to make the final, I'd be lying, but we knew he'd need luck, and if he got running. But you couldn't believe how he's transformed during this derby. He's just got better and better and better, and I was out there last night, and I can tell you he's even better again this week. So now, look, he'll need luck, but you have to be in it to have a chance.
And Tony, they'll be looking where this one turns. He quickens up in sensational fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it's me, but if you look at the history of Paul Hennessy's runners through the ages, they're dogs that nothing seems to faze them. They're not like one trick where they've got to be off the front. You can throw anything at them and it's not game over, whereas it's game over if they do turn round in front because they're so strong. But it just seems like Paul seems to have those types of dogs that whether he instills that in them, they seem to be all-round performers rather than the bang off the front. If you're not in front of the second bend, you can't win. Look at like your Beach Avenues, all them. It just seems that them type of dogs, and that's why they always go deep in competitions.
A quick word, Kevin, on the owners as well of Hello Hammond.
Yeah, look, Jerry and Murray Meany, they keep one dog at a time with us, and they have had one with us for a number of years now. And they were fierce lucky with a dog called Clara Haymack, who we had at home, who again was a homebred, and he brought great joy to them. They'd race in Kilkenny every Friday night, regardless of a runner or not, and they'd follow the dogs the length and breadth of the country. And they've been watching every round in Matty's bar at a local pub in Bagnallstown, and I'd say Jerry was fairly torn whether to make the journey to Towcester or to go to Matty's, but he is going. There's a group of them travelling over, and they're fantastic owners, and they're even better friends. So just to have a runner in the final for them is brilliant, and hopefully they can go over and enjoy the night regardless of the outcome. There's no way Jerry, I'd say at the start of the year, thought he'd be competing in an English Derby final, and here he is. So they're going to enjoy the occasion and soak it all in, and just hope for a good run Saturday.
Oh, fantastic, and promises to be a brilliant night. I'm sure the atmosphere will be fantastic as well at Towcester. I remember 9:15 is the final. Let's move on then to Priceless Jet, Kevin, and there's only one run to show from your lad here. This was absolutely sensational. Track record. Surely you didn't expect him to come out like this and lead round, Kevin, did you?
Look, I'm not going to say I expected it, but I'm not going to say it's a shock either. I've seen this on more than one occasion, him doing this, and he's more than capable of doing it. Like, he's a brilliant greyhound. I'm mad about this dog. We bought him from Thomas O'Donovan in Tralee a couple of years ago, the unraced, and he went on and reached an Easter Cup semi-final. He's reached an Easter Cup final. He was fierce unlucky not to win a Champion Stakes when he was going to turn in near the front, and he got an awful lot of trouble. He was third in the Ledger last year. He was third in an Easter Cup this year, and then he comes out and busts the clock, and everyone is amazed. And he obviously won the Cork Cullen as well, and everyone is amazed and just can't understand where the run came from. But like, the dog's CV is there. He's been a brilliant servant. Broke the clock there last year. We've always said it that he can be an inconsistent starter, but when he gets it right at the boxes, there's very few quicker than it, and that's always been the case with him. And when he gets it right, I hope he gets it right on Saturday night, and he can show his true running. But has that run always been in him? Of course it has. And again, like Hammond, he is just electric at home at the moment. He's busting. Like, we let alone the paddock last night, he must have done 5 or 6 laps around it. Like, I've been lucky enough to see the likes of JT, Jet, Priceless Blake, Tyre Kieran and Laurel All dogs make finals of English derbies. These are 2 4-year-old dogs, and I can honestly say I've never saw any of our dogs been fresher between the semi-final and final as these 2 are. So look, that's testament to the dogs, and it's obviously testament to the father, but we're in good shape going into it, and we just need a bit of luck, and as all do, but we're in good shape at the moment.
Just talk to me about where you've been at with Priceless Jet. I mean, I don't. Everyone knew he was capable of a massive run, as you say. CV is incredible, but his runs leading up to that track record breaking run, you know, I think I'd seen a dog or 2 of him sort of pass him on the run-in. Is it just a case of bringing the dog along? I think he'd gone quite a long time without winning before doing that track record run. And as you say, when he starts like that, it's lights out.
Yeah, well, he ran in the Ledger in Limerick at the back end of last year. He made the final. Obviously, he hadn't won I don't think he won a round at the Ledger down there, but it's not easy to win from 6 in Limerick. You can ask any trainer over here. Not easy to win, especially in a classic. So he ran brilliantly through the Ledger to make the final, finished 3rd in that, and then he reached the final at Easter Cup, and you're in against the Irish Derby winner and Susie Sapphire. Romeo Magico is now favourite for this final. The likes of them in that race, and he made that final. So that was another 4 or 5 races, and he is 4, and there is no way you could go into any 6-round competition with a 4-year-old dog ready to win the opening round and expect it to have anything left by the end of it. If you were lucky enough to keep your hat in the ring. So Brian and Dad both decided to just down tools after the Easter Cup, completely freshen him up. He didn't even get a trial. He might have got a gallop maybe the week before the first round, and you have to go in there and just treat the opening round as a trial. Now, look, you can end up with egg in your face, and we nearly did. He only snuck in by about half a length. They were all coming to pass him. He was last at the escape. But like, it was so clear as day that he clearly cramped in that race, and we were expecting that. And then in the second round, it was similar enough that he tied up again, but he done 29.33, cramping. Like, he was coming forward, we were over the moon with him. Things didn't go right for him in the 3rd round, and then on the quarter final on about the Tuesday or Wednesday, Dad said to me, he's ready to go, and well, we saw what happened.
Yeah, and Tony, just a prime example of just being a master of your craft, bringing the dog on and producing it at the right time.
Exactly. I mean, dogs like him, when they come along, you embrace them, Dave. And he's a nice size dog as well. I did notice that when he ran in the first round, he was 34.2, then was up a kilo, then up another 0.8, and then when he did the track record, he was 35.2. So he was spot on. As I say, condition-wise, you can have a dog that's 35, 36 kilos standing in front of you, but it's condition that matters, and he was obviously spot on when he did the clock, and he's got a good make-up out wide.
He has got a good draw in 6. Right, let's have a look at the rest of the finalists then, shall we? We've touched on the 2 Hennessy powerhouses. Let's have a look at another one up on the inside, Savannah Bow for Diane Henry, and Mr Toaster himself, of course, the promoter there, Kevin Boothby. Now, this was a greyhound that you probably know. Kevin was trained by Graham Holland, known as Riverside Bow. Changed hands, but, you know, as well as your 2, this is a dog that's going to be coming from off the speed. Yeah,
he done a real good run in Shelburne over the 550, and then he was sold in the Greyhound Trader sales. But like, this lad's tough, and this lad's got great makeup. Like, if I take off my Hennessy hat for a second, and I think if I was connected to him, trap 1 is where I'd want to be. Now, I know people can say that it can be a tricky box to break from, but Hammond and JT Wexford, who we had earlier in the competition, he came out with trap 1 as, I think he done a 409 or a 410 out of it. So, and with Savannah Bow, he doesn't need the trap, but Kildare has moved off slightly at the corner on 1 or 2 occasions. Not drastically, but he just took a middle line, and it could get messy in the middle, and like Savannah Bow drawn red, he sticks tight to that fence. If you're connected to him, I think it's the best trap that he could have possibly got. I'd say, with all due respect, he probably needs a bit of trouble in the race to win, but there's nothing to suggest to me that there can't be trouble in this final.
Yeah, Tony, and given his running styles, kind of what Kevin touched on there, which trap he got perhaps wasn't absolutely vital, but what happens ahead of him in the race probably is.
Well, he was bought as a stayer, and like they put him in the Derby thinking that he'd keep on qualifying, and he has. He has kept on qualifying, and that win when he won at 14-1, beating Latoro by a short head, he even got held up down the far side. You just see him had to check his stride slightly. So, you know, it's all right checking your stride and coming through, winning the Derby trial stake against lesser lights. He's done that against top class dogs, and I mean, he looks limited on the clock at the moment, like 29.30, 29.20, but as Kevin touched on, if Kildare moves off, gives him a bit of racing room, and there is a little bit of jostling up front, he enters the fray.
He's definitely going to be a dog on the radar for full-cast and tri-cast punters in this final, isn't he?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I agree. I mean, again, he's not a dog that's going to be pinging the lids. He's better off probably missing the break, because you don't want to be trapping and being in the mix on the crown of the turn. Let him drop in behind, and if he's got Jamie Spencer on his back and time it to perfection, he could get the run. Very
quickly, Kevin, let me ask you what you've made of Towcester itself. And we've got dogs doing sort of sub 29 seconds, but it is a big ask. It's a demanding 4 bends.
Oh, it is, and it's a fair run, as all English tracks are. It's a fair run to the drop. The thing about Towcester is, I don't know whether I suppose if you look at Shelbourne Park, the home straight and the back straight, dogs are probably running at 100% for longer than they would be at Towcester. But on the bends in Shelbourne, they're probably running at about 70-75%. You know, to get round the bends, because they're sharper than Towcester. I sum up Towcester as, I think you're probably running at 90% throughout the bends, and I think that's why we saw the best of Hello Hammond. Hello Hammond is not a great bend runner in Shelbourne and in Ireland at times, partially due to the niggles he's had. But in Towcester, he never has to break stride. He can run that third bend as hard as he's running the back straight. They don't have to ease at all. They don't have to sort of settle themselves. They can, if you take that middle line coming off the last bend, from literally the minute you're dropped out of the traps, you can keep up probably an 85 to 90% gallop all the way, and that to me is what makes Towcester different than the majority of tracks that I know of.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, that's track 1, Savannah Bow. Track 2, Kildare, vying for favouritism for Peter Corona Man, who has been knocking on the English Derby door. Obviously showed up in the Kirby Memorial, Tony, and then comes to Towcester. And he just sparkled into the turn a couple of times, particularly on this occasion. This was, of course, his semi-final. He brushed Mickey's Barrett aside, and then off he goes.
Well, your first day at school, Dave, is never easy. But Kildare, I mean, his first introduction into racing was in the Kirby Memorial. Doesn't get any tougher than that. And he came into this event still an unknown quantity, despite having reached the Kirby final. He's yet to sort of be foot perfect at the boxes at Towcester, but he's managed to get there, and I think that run in the semi, if he can show the same injection of pace, being drawn inside of the Romeo Magico dog, I think just gives him the edge in this particular contest.
And Kevin, the owner, Aidan, that Comerford surname, of course, a big name in Ireland. They're huge supporters of Greyhound Racing, not just as owners, but of course as sponsors as well.
Oh, massive! Yeah, you couldn't begrudge the Comerfords any success. They've been loyal supporters and sponsors of Greyhound Racing in Ireland since I can remember, and obviously Peter was able to lift the Boyle Sports Irish Derby last year with Susie Sapphire, and now Aidan's got a chance in Kildare. Like I had heard murmurs coming into the Kirby about this dog. We'd seen support in the outright book with ourselves. I was intrigued to watch him. I saw him running the first night, and he didn't win, but he ran an incredible race. He was definitely a dog I took over in the opening round, and ever since I've seen him in that night, he's just got better and better and better. And like I talked about earlier on about a 6-run competition like a derby, things aren't going to go your way. You just got to stick in the night that the things go against you. And you're right, Kildare hasn't got it right at the boxes yet. Even in his semi-final doing 4:12, I think he could probably start a little bit quicker or trap a little bit quicker than that. But he's managed to dig in and stay in the competition the nights that things haven't gone his way. He's a dog with an unbelievable bright future, and I hope Peter can just hold off winning his big one till maybe another one and let us have this one. But no, in fairness, I'd love it to see Peter win it as well. Like I said, he's been going over there every year and rattled the crossbar on more than one occasion, and I wouldn't begrudge Peter if he managed to win the big one on Saturday night, and he's a fair dog now.
Yeah, certainly a dog that looks like he's sort of able to take another step forward at any stage. Very, very lightly raced. Kevin, I'll throw to you Romeo Magico, a dog that's been a brilliant dog for Dave Firminger, of course, bred Romeo Magico as well. We've got a British bred Derby finalist, but this lad's been dining at the top table for some while now. He's one of the best in Ireland, right?
He is. He starts. Tony mentioned earlier about his middle pace. It's probably the key. It's probably his best attribute from 2 to 3. Again, I don't think you've seen Magico start like I've seen him on occasions in Shelbourne. This dog can really fly the lids. He's drawn in 4. They say 3 and 4 are the ping boxes, so he's got one, and he's more than capable of doing that. If he gets around the first bend in front, he's going to look to burn you off before the last bend. He's electric between 2 and 3 in Shelbourne, and he's probably electric from the second bend here to halfway up the home straight. But he's been a fantastic servant to Graham and Nicky Holland. Like, the job they've done on him, he was a lucky in the Easter Cup, and he competes in all the big competitions. He's always towards the top end of the betting in them for a reason, and they'll be just hoping on Saturday night that they get a flash break. If he does, he's going to be very hard to beat. I think I read something that they wanted trap 4, and if that's the case, well, then they got their box. If I had him, I think I probably would have just preferred him inside Kildare, like I said, just in case Kildare and himself went to the bend together. Kildare has edged right on occasion, so I think that's the key to him. If he gets a clean run to the first bend and gets around it, then he's going to be hard to pay back.
Yeah, big player, Graham Holland's 6th finalist in the last 6 years. Right, we'll move on then to arguably the story of this year's Greyhound Derby, and that is Jason Gray's Mickey's Barrett, Tony. 67 strong syndicate, £100 each, purchased in honour of their friend Mickey Barrett, who sadly passed away last year. A dog that was a replacement, in fact. The dog they originally bought, they couldn't change the name, because you can only change the name of a greyhound once. So another greyhound came in, and what a story, that dog being Mickey's Barrett.
Huge story on both aspects. The fact that he's named in honour of a good man and a good friend, and the syndicate was formed. But he was just destined to be a star. I mean, he won an A3 at Nottingham, and it was just onwards and upwards from that point. And a few people used to ask me about this dog, what do you think of the Mickey's Barrett dog? He don't put up any flashy times. I said, but don't worry about time. He's a winner, and that is exactly what he was. He went to Newcastle, he ran in the Northern Puppy Derby, he ran second in the Northern Flat at Newcastle, and it was like, well, you've proved you're not just a Nottingham dog. He's gone to Newcastle, put up some decent times against some class types, and he's flourished at Towcester. I mean, Towcester's one of those venues you need to take to the track. You need to run the track. It's an unforgiving venue, Towcester. But Mickey's Barrett, again, nothing flashy on the clock, but he just shows the right attitude. He doesn't down tools. He loves the hustle and bustle of racing. Yeah,
you'll certainly hear his owners as well on the sidelines. They've been filling the airwaves up at Northamptonshire for sure. And a mention for Jason Gray as well, not a trainer that travels too often on the open race scene, only his 2nd ever Derby entry and his 1st ever Derby final. So we wish them well. If you're a neutral, that's perhaps the one to be cheering on in this year's Greyhound Derby. Right then, before we move on to the supporting card, how can you keep abreast of all the latest news in the sport of greyhound racing? Well, Off the Row is the new Racing Post email. You can sign up for exclusive tips, news, analysis and previews directly to your inbox. A weekly email. Jump on racingpost.com/offtherow and sign up for our brand spanking new email. Right, as I mentioned, the supporting card is fantastic. 14 races throughout, 6:04 all the way through to I think 9:55, the Durando being the lucky last. Up first of the races we're going to look at is the RPG-TV Watling Street Sprint. It's quite a competitive race, I feel. We've got a warm order on the inside, Havana Class at 8 to 11. Let's have a look at Havana Class in action, winning his semi-final. Not usually a dog flashy from the boxes, Tony, but he broke well on this occasion. Brilliant Ben runner. Yeah, he's threatening to land one of these big sprints as well, Dave. He won the laurels at Perry Bar last year, and even dropping down in distance, he's a monster of a dog. He was runner-up in the Northamptonshire Sprint, Silver Salver 2nd, Golden Sprint finalist at Romford. I think he's got his draw. He wants red. He's always makes a beeline for the rails, the dog, and
he's a strong running sprinter. I know that sounds a bit silly, but because he's proven own top class over 4 bends, he's got that speed, and once he's in front, it's going to take a very good dog to pass him.
Yeah, and let's have a look at the other semi-final then, won by a new dog, Lockhill Flash, 1584, Not to See Gem in 2, Ballymac Slap Up in 3. What do you make of this one, Tony, a newcomer?
It ran in a competition at Romford and was in front and was beaten at 5-2 on in the final. Ran a blinder at a big price at 20-1 in the first round, and again, real consistency at the boxes, and if you've got that, Dave, you've always got a shout.
Absolutely. Havana Class, 8-11 then-ish, 4-6 maybe in places. Won this competition last year, broke the track record when winning the final. Is he going to be for you, Tony?
I think he's the one to beat, and he represents being a shade of odds on, in my opinion. Anything like a half-decent exit, I think he uses the rails, picks his racing line, and up the home straight, I think he asserts and puts a race to bed.
Kevin, you've seen the semi-finals. Have you got a view on that one?
Yeah, look, you'd have to be impressed with the favourite now. Backing a dog at 8-11 in a sprint definitely wouldn't be for me, and that's not knocking the dog at all. I'd love to see Rab winning, a brilliant trainer in his own right, and Rab and Liz. Look, he's definitely in there with a favourite's chance. I'll be cheering on the 6 dog Freedom Whiskey, a son of JT Jet. I'm hoping it's a big night for Ted as a sire on Saturday night, but look, he'll probably need luck. He's a dog I saw in Ireland put up some nice runs in Thurles and different tracks. He's got plenty of ability, but he, like the 2 lads I have in the Derby, he's coming towards, I suppose, the end of his career, but he'll need luck, and I'm sure he'll be a decent enough price. He'll carry my €2.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Blast Off Mason there, track 4 for Chambers Car. Went to the Bend with Havana Class in the semi-final, and I'm not sure Havana Class is guaranteed to come away as well as he did in the semi-final. So perhaps a big price. Might even get double figures about that one. Blast Off Mason. Right, let's move on then from sprinting to stayers. Now we're going to have a look at the Gain Nutrition Feed Challenge Cup Final. Now we've got a warm order on the inside, Call Me Steve, Tony, but this is one hell of a race.
It certainly is. I mean, Call Me Steve, again, I'd rather be taking 10-11 Havana Class than evens Call Me Steve, if that makes any sense. He's running out of his skin though, and I do think he's the one to beat. He got a lovely slot up the inside here. Barn Door appeared, and Call Me Steve said thank you very much. I mean, you got to remember this dog finished second in the Puppy Derby at Towcester last year behind the Make Noise dog of Seamus Cahill's. They ran him in the TV Trophy, and he clearly didn't stay. But horses for courses, he loves Towcester, and he's a monster around Towcester, and I do think he throws down a serious marker.
Yeah, Call Me Steve in 1, Kishlon Shakira in 4, and Slapdash Tommy qualifying back in 3rd. You can see just giving best close home there in the white jacket. We'll move on then to the other semi-final, Belmore Sally, the Golden Jacket champion. She had a great draw out wide in that semi-final when she went from trap 6, took it up early enough for her because she's a strong runner over this trip. Bubbly Crystal in 1, Blueberry Bullet, who's been an incredible stayer for Connections in trap 3. They were your 3 qualifiers. Belmore Sally gets stripes again. It looks a good draw. Might we see this again, Tony?
Got a good make-up potentially, Dave. Stole the show in the Golden Jacket, made all them miles worthwhile. Early morning set-offs at Crayford. It'd be probably unfair to say her form dipped because she went on to reach the Georgine St Ledger final, Kent St Ledger final, but she did just have a little bit of a blip, in my opinion, but this was a confidence-boosting win for sure.
Are we saying she's back?
Well, the time she's sort of equalled Call Me Steve's run, so yeah, it would be fair to say she's back. I mean, Kishlong, it shows you the strength in depth. Defending champ Kishlong Shakira is priced at 33-1 to defend the title.
And who's going to be your pick in that
I'm going to
race?
be with Call Me Steve. I think he'll get that inside line. It's the 3rd bend. The fact that he's got the middle gears, and I think it's the middle gears that he's showing that can really see him inject and jet the pace into the race. And then you are looking for the stayers, but I just think Call Me Steve at Towcester doesn't relent nowadays.
OK, Kevin, well, what do you make of that 712 metres ahead of them?
Yeah, I really like this one dog, Call Me Steve. I saw him in the Irish Derby last year. He was only a young dog. Graham Holland had him at the time, and he showed phenomenal pace behind some very, very good dogs for a young dog. He's since going to England, he stepped up in trip, which he always looked like he'd need. And yeah, I'd be all over him. I don't know what prices they are. I haven't seen the betting for these races, but if this lad is odds against, I'd be definitely with him. I know Tony was saying Kishla Shakira is 33 to 1. I'd stick her in a forecast or tricast. I've seen her in the couple of races in this competition. She hasn't trapped at all, like she can in my opinion. She's doing slower splits to the bend than Call Me Stevers. The 16-second split is slower than Call Me Steve, and on all known form of I'd know between the two of them anyway. Kishlan Shakira should definitely be leading up Call Me Steve most nights, so I don't think she's got it right at the boxes. If she's 33 to 1, if you're doing combination tricasts and stuff, I'd have no problem sticking her in. She might need a lot of luck to win the final, but I'll go for 1 and 3 in the forecast or tricast.
There you go, he's putting up forecasts as well for us, our remote guest, Kevin Hennessy there. Good stuff. 2 votes for Call Me Steve, who on the early prices, around about even money. The red jacket. I like Belmore Sally out wide. I think she's got a great draw here. Slapdash Tommy will head inside, as will Bubbly Crystal, and it all might just happen around that first bend for Belmore Sally out wide. Right, the main or the top supporting race on the card, a star-studded card at Towcester on Saturday night, will be the Racing Post Greyhound TV Derby Plate, a competition for those knocked out of the Derby itself in the early rounds, and we've ended up with, I think, a really competitive final, Tony. Infield Trojan and Chelmsford went head-to-head last week, and it was all about the early speed, straight down the middle. Infield Trojan in 3, Lemon Tossy in 1, and Chelmsford in 4. This race is kind of shaping similar to that as well.
Yeah, it's a great final. I mean, hell of a kerfuffle. Again, underlined his liking for course and distance, won the maiden derby, and since returning to Towcester, he's been back in business. But I do like this Infield Trojan dog. He was runner-up in the Northern Puppy Derby at Newcastle, and again, I like the racing line. I like the way he drives the first 2 bends, and he's not a stopper. He clearly stays the trip really well, and I know he's got the draw to overcome. I mean, he was inside Chelmsford, but the price is factored in. If he would have been drawn 3 and Chelmsford in 5, I think you'd have been taking 5 to 4 Infield Trojan, but you're getting around 5 to 2, and that's big price in my opinion.
OK, let's have a look at the other semi-final then. Goldie's Perriman in trap 3, Chelms Switch and hell of a kerfuffle. We'll pick it up down the back after a little bit of trouble early on. And the horse racing theme runs throughout this Derby final night, because Goldie's Perriman owned by Fergal O'Brien, racing team, of course, Jumps trainer. Kevin's dad, Paul Hennessy, trained a winner at the Cheltenham Festival last year as well. What do we make of Goldie's Perriman, Tony?
It was a good performance. I mean, again, I think because he's such a big frame dog, he's like 37 kilos, and they don't always propel themselves out the boxes, but when he gets it right at the start, I think 29.58 on the card, and did go toe-to-toe with Infield Trojan when they met in May, so yeah, one lively outsider maybe.
Who gets your vote?
I fancy Infield Trojan. Just on the price, I know he's got it, needs to do everything right from 5, but the way he runs them first 2 bends, I think he's the one to beat.
I'm going to be boring, go with the favourite, Chelmsford, straight down the middle, fast out of boxes, away and gone. Kevin, who'd you like?
I think they're both probably spot on with the most likely winners, but just even watching those VTs back, Chelmsford in 4 last week seemed to nearly take a step right, and Infield Trojan in 3 was diving for the fence. I think it could get quite messy in up the middle here if the draws run, if they run like they ran last week. So I'd be looking for a spot of value. And Fergal O'Brien, he's a great supporter of the game. He's very vocal on Twitter with his support of the game. So I'll be cheering on Goldie's Perryman in 1. I think the draw, just there might be a bit of scrimmaging in the middle, and he might capitalise. Yeah,
certainly be a popular winner, that one. Goldie's Perryman on the inside in the red jacket. Right, there are 14 races on Saturday night at Towcester. Derby final 9:15, but the supporting card is star-studded. And let's get everyone best bets on the card. Tony, kick us off.
I'm going to put Infield Trojan up. Just on the price, I think if you'd have been in 3, you'd have been 11 to 8, 5 to 4, but you're going to probably get 5 to 2 plus on the night. I think a few people want to take that fella on, but I like the way he runs the first 2 bends, and I think if he can just bully his way round in front off the crown of the second bend, it takes some fetching in. And I think if he does win, Lemon Tossy will fill the forecast role.
Oh, the boys are putting up forecasts. I'm just trying to find a winner. These two are putting up forecasts. Right, my best bet of the night is going to be in the 7:48, which is the British Bred Final. Going to be with trap 4, Glatton Gianni. I think it'll be away and gone there. Looks almost certain to lead. I thought stayed on quite well in defeat last week, and might just come on a touch for that as well. So Glatton Gianni for me. Kevin, what about yourself? I'm not having a reverse forecast in the Derby Final. What have you got for us?
Look, I wasn't prepared for a best bet in the card. I do think Call Me Steve. I do think he's from a plum draw and one. I take it that the competition it's a good race and it looks a cracker on paper. But I do think if he gets a clean run at all on the inside, he's a dog with an awful lot of ability. I think it'll be hard to beat. So I'll go with Call Me Steve.
Okay, perhaps a little asterisk next to Kevin's one there. I'll put him on the spot for a best bet, but he certainly likes what he sees from those semi-final runs. Now, of course, if you can't get to Towcester on Saturday night, the only place to watch the Derby Final is Racing Post Greyhound TV. Watch the biggest race of the year, £175,000 up for grabs. Slightly earlier start, the coverage, 5:30. There'll be members of staff on the track in the studio bringing you up close and personal to all the action. 5:30 start, remember the Derby Final at 9:15 p.m. there, 9:15 p.m. So slightly earlier than traditional back in the Sky days, but 9:15 p.m. you'll be able to watch the Derby Final. Let's get into it then. Let's get selections for the Derby Final itself. It is a competitive race with Kildare and Romeo Magico heading the betting. How do you see it unfolding, Tony?
I put Kildare up. I put 3 dogs up at the start. Latoro, Kildare and Amazing Me Seb as a lively outsider. And I'm going to keep the faith, Dave. I was glad when the draw came out that he was drawn inside of Romeo Magico. And I do feel that if Kildare wins the early battle and Romeo Magico is denied the early lead, I do think it'll be the Hennessy pair that chase him home. And I'm going to be 2 Kildare to beat Hello Hammond and Priceless Jet. For me, that would be the finishing order. If Kildare can do what he done in that semi-final, I think he leads. His action tells me there's still more to come. You watch him, he's still sort of learning, which is frightening when you think that he's lining up in the Derby Final. But if he can repeat what he did on Saturday, I think he bosses the inside and stays one step ahead of the Hennessy pair.
OK, the blue are 2 for Tony then. Kildare in the Greyhound Derby Final. Kevin, we had Patrick Janssens on 12 months ago. And his 2 filled the first 2 home in the Derby Final. Let's assume your 2 will be the first 2 home. In what order are they going to finish?
Dead heat. Look, they're 2 great dogs. I can see cases being made for both of them. A lot of show judges are saying that Hammond has got a great draw and he came out well from 3 before. And look, a blind man, I suppose, could see that the way he's back running dogs at the moment, he's in the form of his life, and if he gets a clean run at them, he's going to be hard to stop. I suppose I just think on paper, Priceless Jet probably has a better makeup. Like I said, I think Kildare can move off at the corner. I think Magico will move in slightly if he's going to move anywhere, and that could cause Hammond a bit of trouble in the middle of the 2 of them. So. Of the 2, I would say Priceless Jet probably has the best draw, but he has to make the most of it. I'd just like to say I wish all the dogs in the final the very best of luck. Hopefully they all come home safe and sound. That goes for every dog running on the card, and we're just delighted to be in there. And if you have backed either of our 2, they'll give you a good run for their money. I hope they're in great form. Great stuff. Enjoy it, Kevin, of course, and all the family. Hopefully you can see many of you on Saturday night. My selection was going to be Romeo Magico, straight down the middle. Graham Holland chasing that Derby crown. I think a really, really good draw. It's the box they wanted. It's the box they got. Let's see if Graham can get him out those traps and make all the run. I thank Kevin for his time. I'm sure he's very, very busy. And the whole family are leading up to Saturday night. Thank you, Tony, as well, for your time and expertise again.
I just hope Kevin's taught his sister to throw the lead up in the air as high as he did at Nottingham if they win it.
There'll be no leads left.
There'll be no leads there. Well, 2 big runners, of course, Hello Hammond and Priceless Jet in that Derby Final. Remember, you can watch all the action live on Racing Post Greyhound TV. If you can't get to Towcester, Sky Channel 437, Freesat 250 and Freeview 264. And on the stream at sportystuff.tv. Good luck to everybody involved. It is the biggest race in the sport of greyhound racing. Breathe it in, enjoy it, and of course, remember to gamble responsibly. Thanks for watching.